that came up in our studies when we were investigating Genesis 6, and I'm indebted to Tommy Ice's recent newsletter who highlights something else. So we've got something to trade here, kind of interesting. Anyway, in 2 Corinthians 5, first verse says, "For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. And for in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven." Now, it's in the Greek that this has some subtleties we want to be sensitive to. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle, he's using here the idiom of a tent for our temporary dwellings. Why? Because a tent is typically considered a temporary dwelling for camping, whatever. You and I are in our temporary dwellings that serves us for a period of, 70 or whatever. We know that if our earthly house of this tent were dissolved, we have a building of God, a building of God's. He's shifting to a more permanent idiom here. A house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. You know, one thing, let me just insert this too. You know, most of us tend to think of this as, look at this podium or our physical universe as being real, and we tend to think of the spiritual universe as sort of ephemeral, invisible, sort of a fuzzy neverland kind of thing. It's the other way around. This podium is a simulation. It's an electrical simulation. It only feels solid. There's more space than solid here if you really understand the atomic structure. It's the real universe that's real. This is a simulation of sorts. But anyway, he goes on then, "For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven." Now the word house here is an interesting word. In the Greek it's okryterion. And it's interesting because it only occurs twice in the Bible. Once here, as referring to that which we aspire to in our resurrection bodies. The only other place it shows up is in Jude 6. And there, it's a strange illusion. In Jude 6, he's talking about the bizarre goings-on of Genesis 6. "And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, hath he reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day." He's referring to the judgment of those angels that generated the Nephilim in Genesis 6. And what's interesting is this first estate, the word is arche, which means principality or majesty of either angels or demons. They left that. They kept not their first estate, but they left their own habitation. The word habitation there again is okryterion, this dwelling that they disrobed themselves of to engage in this mischief in Genesis 6. It's the same word that describes that body that we aspire to in our resurrection bodies that will be instantly given to us at the rapture. In fact, see the next verse. It's interesting. Paul reveals something here in the third verse of 2 Corinthians 5. He says, let me take verse 2 first. "For in this we groan earnestly, desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven, if so be that being clothed we shall not be found naked." What on earth is he talking about? You see, when someone dies, their body, of course, goes in the ground or whatever. What happens to their spirit? Anyone? They're with the Lord immediately in the spirit. They don't have their bodies yet. When do they get their bodies? At the resurrection. Paul uses that phrase, naked, as being with the Lord, but not with his body until the resurrection. And what he is revealing here, interestingly enough, is his desire, his hope, that he could be raptured so that he will be not naked for that interval, whatever that interval is.